Legend of Yufei, Chapter 21.
So we start this as a critical point for Zhao Go, who we know as the King. He's just pulled off this, well, frankly, incredible escape from the Jin forces. He crosses the Jiajiang, that's the Ji River, apparently on a blood horse. And then somehow he ends up hiding out in this rundown, dilapidated temple. Can you tell us a bit more about how the text presents this escape? That mud horse detail sounds, well, symbolic.
Oh, definitely. The text presents it as nothing less than a divine intervention. This mud horse isn't just him getting lucky. It's a powerful symbol in the story, a clear signal that he's, well, chosen, divinely aided.
Right.
In times of total crisis like this, these kinds of miraculous escapes, they aren't just survival tales. They become, foundational myths. They build legitimacy, create this sense of destiny that can really rally a fractured people when maybe nothing else can.
Okay, so destiny is playing a big role already.
Okay.
Then the story takes this amazing turn. It shifts focus to a guy named Duquan. He's the magistrate of Fincui County in Sizhou. Picture this. Middle of the night, he sits bolt upright in bed. He's just had this incredibly vivid dream. A deity named Cui Fujun appears and tells him, hey, there's a true ruler hiding in your temple. Go greet him.
And Duquan's reaction is immediate and, well, profound. It really highlights the deep sense of loyalty that responsibility officials felt. You get this sense of his despair. The country has no emperor, and he just has to act on this dream instantly, no hesitation.
So he immediately tries to find this temple, right? But he asks his scribe, then he asks his yamen runners, these are like his court officers, and nobody knows where this Cui Fujun temple actually is.
Yeah.
You can just imagine his frustration. He's got this urgent divine mission and no map.
Well, that's what makes it narratively interesting, isn't it? Why would the divine message be so specific about what go greet the ruler, but so vague about the where? It adds this layer of challenge. It means human effort is needed to actually fulfill the divine instruction. It's not just handed to him.
Right. He has to work for it. So the search seems completely hopeless until, well, a really unlikely character shows up. Cai Mao, the tea server. Just the guy who serves tea in the yamen. He overhears all the commotion, people talking about the magistrate's dream.
And that's such a classic storytelling move, isn't it? You have the high officials totally stumped, and it's the humble servant, the tea server, who holds the key piece of information. It often suggests where the real, practical, on-the-ground knowledge actually lies. Not always in the halls of power.
Exactly. So Duquan is getting pretty frustrated, and he notices his own gatekeepers try not to laugh. Duquan threatens him, tell me what's funny or else. And the gatekeeper spills the beans. He says Cai Mao, the tea server, knows where the temple is. But Cai Mao had told him not to say anything because he thought the whole greeting the ruler thing was just, well, a nightmare the magistrate had.
It adds that little touch of human realism, doesn't it? A bit of secrecy, maybe slight disbelief from the lower ranks before the big reveal. So Cai Mao gets summoned.
Right. And he's reluctant at first, understandably. He describes this temple down near the Jiajiang River as clean and desolate, dilapidated, basically saying, are you sure it's this dumpy old place?
But Duquan connects the dots. This is where his insight comes in. The deity in the dream mentioned the ruler is staking from the river, right, and being wet. And this temple is right by the Jiajiang. It clicks.
So the location near the river was the key clip.
Precisely. And, looking at the bigger picture, it shows that divine signs aren't always like a neon sign pointing the way. They often need human insight, that logical step, deduction, to really understand and act on them. It's like a partnership between the supernatural and human ingenuity.
So the dramatic discovery. Duquan grabs just one gatekeeper, heads out, and reaches the temple at dawn. Inside, the main hall is empty. Nothing. But Duquan remembers the dream, maybe, and tells the gatekeeper, open the curtain to the divine kitchen, the Shenshu.
And the gatekeeper pulls back the curtain and just screams. It's such a vivid detail because he sees two pheasant tail feathers sticking out.
Pheasant tail feathers. What's the significance there?
Huge significance. In ancient China, those feathers were part of official headwear, specifically for royalty or very high-ranking officials. It's like finding, a crown sticking out from under a cloak. An immediate signifier.
Well, okay.
And the Kang's reaction is instant, too. He immediately draws his sword, shows he's alert, determined, even hiding out in this ruined kitchen.
So this reunion happens. It's a massive turning point. Duquan drops to his knees, explains the dream, his divine mission. The King identifies himself, I am Zhao Gu, the ninth prince, and tells his own story, the escape on the mud horse. He praises Duquan's loyalty.
Yeah.
Then practical matters. Duquan gets attendants bring dry clothes, the king changes, and they head straight into the city. What's the importance of this immediate trust between them?
Well, it instantly establishes legitimacy. There's no doubt, no questioning. It shows this urgent need for a leader, someone both the divine through the dream and the people represented by Duquan can rally behind. It sort of solidifies the foundation for this displaced throne right away.
Makes sense. So once they're in the county seat, King immediately asks, okay, what forces do we have? Duquan has to tell him, not much, 300 cavalry, 300 infantry. Yeah. Clearly not enough to fight the Jin.
Right, not nearly enough.
So Duquan advises him, you need to issue decrees, put up proclamations, summon troops, attract heroes, because, he says, the people want a Song emperor.
And that highlights something critical. Even with almost no army, the symbolic power of the emperor, the legitimacy of his decrees, is itself a weapon. It's crucial for rallying support in this kind of national crisis. People needed someone to believe in.
And just as they're figuring this out, planning how to get more troops, more incredible support just shows up, also guided by dreams.
Exactly. This is where it gets really compelling. First, Marshal Wang Yan arrives, and he's not alone. He brings 3,000 troops with him.
Wow, 3,000.
Yeah, and he says he dreamed of Eastern Han Kuiziyu. That's another name for the same deity, Cui Fujun, who told him, go protect the king.
The same deity again.
Same one. And the fact that the story includes multiple independent confirmations like this, well, it lends enormous legitimacy, massive momentum to King's cause. It makes it seem undeniable, truly fated.
It's not just one guy's weird dream anymore.
Precisely. And then, shortly after Wang Yuan, another marshal arrives. Zhang Suo from Jinling, that's modern Nanjing, he brings 5,000 troops.
5,000. So now they have a real force gathering.
A significant force, yes. And guess what Zhang Suo says?
Let me guess. Cui Fujun appeared in a dream.
You got it. Same deity, same message, protect the king. And the text makes a point of describing Zhang Suo. He's over 70, but still awe-inspiring. An old, respected veteran throwing his weight behind the king.
So the arrival of these two seasoned commanders, Wang Yuan and Zhang Suo, with thousands of troops, all guided by the same divine dream, that completely changes the game overnight.
Absolutely. It's a powerful narrative device to show divine approval, build confidence, and just dramatically shift the strategic balance right when it's needed most.
Okay, so now they have military muscle, forces are gathered, but this leads to the next critical question, a huge strategic debate. Where do they set up shop? Where should the new capital be? King himself points out that Fenghui, where they are, is too small. Low walls, few soldiers.
Yeah.
Basically, indefensible against the Jin.
And this is a massive decision, maybe the most important one they'll make early on. Choosing the capital affects everything: defense, supplies, logistics, the psychology of the people, the government's ability to actually govern and project power. It's paramount for survival.
So Marshal Wang Yuan, the first one who arrived, he proposes a really bold idea. Let's go back to Bianjing. That's Kaifeng, the old capital. Let's just take it back and restore the dynasty right there, right now.
Yeah, Wang Yun's idea is, well, it's bold. Maybe a bit idealistic. It's a direct challenge to the Jin invaders and also to the guy the Jin installed there, the traitor Zong Bengqing. It signals this desire for immediate restoration, a symbolic reclaiming of what was lost, go big or go home sort of thing.
But then the older marshal, Zhang Suo, steps in with a counter-argument. He says, look, Bianjing is destroyed and broken. It's a wreck. And it's still held by that treacherous minister, Zhang Bangsheng. It's just too dangerous, too unstable right now. Instead, he advocates for Jinling, Nanjing. And his reasons are really interesting. He says it's where their ancestors received their mandate. It's centrally located, and crucially, it's good for grain transport.
And Zhang Suo's argument is quite brilliant, really. It's this blend of hard-nosed pragmatism and deep historical legitimacy. Citing the ancestors received their mandate, that gives it powerful symbolic weight. It connects to tradition, to divine right. But then centrally located, grain transport. Those are absolutely critical practical needs for setting up a long-term stable capital. You need to be able to feed your government and your army, and you need a defensible, accessible location. He's thinking strategically for the long haul.
So the King listens to both arguments, and he approves Zhang Suo's proposal. He sees the wisdom in it, and they immediately start the journey south to Jinling.
Yeah.
And the text notes that along the way, local officials start providing supplies, former ministers hear the news and come to join his escort.
Yeah.
It seems like support just snowballs.
And that swift agreement on Jinling, followed by this immediate influx of support on the journey, it really underscores how much people were yearning for a legitimate government, for order. It shows how quickly things could start to coalesce once a credible leader emerged. The groundwork for the new dynasty is laid remarkably fast.
We're talking about the very start of Emperor Gaozong's reign. It's literally the first day of the 5th month. Kangwang, that's Gaozong, before he fully solidifies everything, establishes his court in Jinling, modern Nanjing.
A new beginning, sort of?
In theory. He immediately declares a new era name, Jianyan, issues a general amnesty, calls for troops. Standard stuff maybe, but urgent.
Why so urgent?
Because the situation's dire. The sources describe this terrible famine. There's this phrase, a peck of rice is worth a pearl.
Oh.
Wow. That really says it all.
It does. It underscores just how desperate the need for basic supplies, especially grain, really was. And you do see loyal officials, people like Zhao, Li Gang, military leaders too, starting to arrive to support the new emperor. Officials are sent out everywhere trying to gather grain, fodder, anything.
And amidst all this chaos, we meet our first key figure, Xu Ren. He's from Tangyin County, and the text calls him a clean official.
Which immediately sets him apart, perhaps. It seems so. And he really lives up to it. He doesn't just, issue orders from his office about the famine. He personally goes out into the countryside.
Hands-on.
Very. He's persuading wealthy families, actually talking to them, to contribute grain. And through this, incredible effort, he manages to collect 1,000 dan.
Which is a lot of grain. We're talking maybe 20 tons. A huge amount.
Definitely. Enough to make a real difference.
Yeah.
So he then personally escorts this massive shipment all the way to Jinling, being careful with resources, frugal the whole way.
A dedicated guy.
Absolutely. But after all that hard work, he arrives at the marshal's headquarters and boom, hits a wall. What happens?
Well, he arrives with his grain carts, goes to the gate, and very politely tries to report to the middle officer on duty. I'm Xu Ren, Tangyin County, delivering vital supplies, need to see the marshal.
Yeah.
Standard procedure.
Okay.
But the officer, completely dismissive. Marshal's busy, won't even hear him out properly.
Oh boy, here we go.
Xu Ren pushes a bit, explains how urgent it is, but brushed off. And Xu Ren, he's been around, he gets it.
Right, he knows what's really needed.
Exactly, a bribe. So he tells his servant, prepare something small. It ends up being just 6 keys of silver.
6 keys? That sounds tiny.
It was tiny. Almost an insulting amount, maybe. Anyway, the officer takes this little packet, feels how light it is, and just scoffs. Says something like, even if this were pure gold, it wouldn't be much.
Yeah.
And then he just throws it on the ground. Calls Xu Ren unworthy of elevation. Contemptuous.
Unbelievable, after everything Xu Ren did.
And this tiny, petty act of corruption, you have to wonder, right? What does it say about the bigger picture? The administrative mess the new emperor is trying to sort out.
It's infuriating just hearing about it. Imagine being Xu Ren. All that effort, that personal risk maybe, hauling grain through chaos, and you get that. But his reaction is fascinating. He picks up the silver packet, and the text gives us his thought process. He's thinking, no wonder the court's in trouble. It's not just the big traders. Even a gate officer is this rotten.
A moment of despair, almost.
Almost. But he doesn't give up. He refuses to let this stop him, which leads to this pretty dramatic next step. Tell us about the drum.
Right. This is his act of defiance, really, his last resort. He grabs his horsewhip and just starts wildly beating the ceremonial drum outside the gate.
Now, that wasn't something you just did, was it?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Beating that drum without authorization, that was a serious offense. It could mean severe punishment, maybe even execution. For trying to force entry or causing a disturbance, it's a huge risk.
A desperate gamble.
But it works. Inside, Marshal Wang hears this unauthorized drumming. He immediately takes his seat in the main hall, the public hall, and orders a flag bearer. Find out who dares strike that drum.
So Xu Ren gets his audience, finally, but probably not in the way he expected.
Not quite. He's brought before Marshal Wang, probably looking a bit disheveled and maybe defiant.
And does he explain himself, or is he just in trouble?
Oh, he explains. And he doesn't mince words. He's incredibly direct. Lays out the whole story arriving with the grain, the middle officer demanding a bribe, scorning the small amount, throwing the silver down, everything.
Wow. Straight up.
And Marshal Wang,
He's furious.
Absolutely incensed by this blatant corruption right at his own headquarters. His reaction is immediate and severe.
What does he do?
He orders the middle officer bound and taken out to be beheaded. Right then and there.
Whoa. Instant judgment. That's harsh. Is that typical, or is Wang trying to make a strong statement?
Probably a bit of both. Remember the context, chaos, new regime trying to assert control, making a public example of corruption, especially military or administrative corruption, was sometimes seen as necessary to restore order quickly. Swift justice.
Okay. Makes sense in that context. But
then something amazing happened. Zhu Ren, the guy who just insulted and blocked by this officer, he suddenly kneels down.
He what?
Kneels. And pleads for the officer's life.
No way. Why?
His reasoning is fascinating. He says basically, if you kill this man now, I will have created a deep, unresolvable vendetta. He's worried about the long-term consequences, the blood feud, the instability it might cause, rather than just immediate retribution.
That's remarkable foresight. And compassion, I guess.
Remarkable compassion, yes, especially given how he was treated. And Marshal Wang listens. He commutes the death sentence.
To what?
A heavy, flogging 40 strokes, which was serious punishment and expulsion from the headquarters. Basically fired and disgraced.
Okay. Still serious, but alive.
Exactly. And then, showing he clearly respects Zhu Ren's integrity and effort, Wang gives him 50 ling of silver for his travel expenses.
50 ling? How does that compare to the 6 ki?
Oh, vastly different. A ling was a substantial unit of silver. This was a generous reward, acknowledging the value of Zhu Ren and his grain, and maybe apologizing for the trouble. A huge difference from the insulting bribe attempt.
So you'd think, okay, drama over. Zhu Ren delivered the grain, exposed corruption, showed mercy, got rewarded. Day done.
You would think. But no. The story takes another twist.
Of course it does. What happens now?
Zhu Ren leaves. But shortly after, Marshal Wang is thinking, and he suddenly remembers something else. Something important he needs to ask Zhu Ren about.
Okay.
So he calls for his flag bearer again, tells him, go invite Officer Zhu back, quickly. The key word is invite. Groped. Uh-oh. I sense a problem coming.
You sense correctly. This particular flag bearer, unfortunately, has a hearing problem. He mishears invite as arrest. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So this flag bearer, probably still a bit amped up from the earlier drama, rushes out after Zhu Ren. He yells, Officer Zhu, hold it! The marshal wants you arrested. Come back.
This is getting comical.
Hell.
Tragically comical.
It gets worse. In his haste to arrest Zhu Ren, the flag bearer grabs hold of Zhu Ren's robe. Now, Zhu Ren's described as frugal, remember? His official robe is old, maybe a bit flimsy,
Right.
and rip. The flag bearer tears it right down the middle. You cannot be serious.
Dead serious, according to the story. So now Zhu Ren is furious, understandably. He's just delivered vital supplies, dealt with corruption, shown mercy, and now he's being publicly yelled at, arrested, and his clothes are torn.
Yeah, I'd be livid too. What does he do?
He rides straight back to the headquarters, storms into the main hall, doesn't wait to be announced this time, marches up to Marshal Wang's desk, takes off his official hat, and just slams it down on the desk.
Wow. Throwing down the hat.
Pretty much declares he's done. He explains, I bring grain, I get insulted, then I get arrested, my robe gets torn in public, I don't even want this official position anymore. Total outrage.
Okay, so now the flag bearer is in really hot water.
Absolutely. He desperately tries to explain. Sir Marshal, it was a mistake. I'm hard of hearing. I misheard invite as arrest. Tearing the robe. That was an accident in the confusion. He's pleading, basically.
Does Wang buy it?
Wang is still angry. He lectures the flag bearer, pointing out how incredibly dangerous a mistake like that is, especially in military matters. Mishearing invite as arrest. What if it was crucial intelligence? You could lose us a battle.
He has a point. A serious point.
He does. The potential consequences are huge. And initially, Wang again orders execution.
Again? Seriously?
Yeah. It highlights the stakes, the volatility. Maybe Wang felt he had to maintain discipline after such a potentially catastrophic error.
So what happens? Does Zhu Ren step in again?
He does. Just amazing. He calmly picks up his hat, puts it back on, kneels down again, and pleads for the flag bearer's life.
Unbelievable consistency from Zhu Ren.
Right. He argues essentially, look, the man admitted his fault. It was a genuine mistake because of his hearing, not malice. Punish him, yes, but killing him is too much for an honest error.
And Wang, does he listen this time?
He does. Maybe Zhu Ren's earned that credibility by now. The death sentence is commuted again. The flag bearer gets the same punishment as the corrupt officer.
Yeah.
40 strokes and expulsion.
Okay, so 2 lives saved by Zhu Ren's intervention. His integrity is just, wow. But all this drama, the arrest mix-up, it was all because Wang wanted to ask him something else.
Exactly. All that chaos was just a sidetrack, a very dramatic sidetrack.
So what was the marshal's actual question? What was so important?
Now we get to the real reason for the recall. Once things calm down, Marshal Wang leans in and asks Zhu Ren, I have heard for a long time about a man from your county, Tanyin, a man named Yu Fei. What can you tell me about him? What's his situation now?
Yu Fei, the famous general.
The very same. This is the moment. This is where the story pivots.
So Zhu Ren knows him.
Oh, yes. And he gives Wang a full report. He tells him, first, about Yu Fei's skill, how he famously speared this figure called Little Liang Wang in a martial arts competition years ago. A major feat. But despite that display of prowess, he didn't get an official position then. Then Zhu Ren tells Wang how Yu Fei became a local hero later by clearing out bandits from Taihang Mountain. Real, practical leadership and courage.
Sounds like exactly the kind of person they need.
You'd think. But Zhu Ren explains that even after that, the previous administration only offered Yu Fei this really minor civil service rank, Chengxin Lang.
Which he refused.
Yeah. He clearly felt it was beneath his abilities, or maybe just saw it as tokenism from a corrupt system. So Zhu Ren concludes, Yu Fei is currently living quietly back home, farming, supporting his parents, basically in obscurity.
Wow. So this incredible talent, this future national hero, is just sitting on the sidelines, overlooked, suppressed even.
Exactly, suppressed by the previous regime. And it took this bizarre chain of events, a dedicated official, a corrupt gatekeeper, a misheard order, a torn robe, to finally bring him to the attention of someone in power who might actually do something about it.
It really shows how much can depend on just one person's integrity, doesn't it? Yu Ren's refusal to just walk away.
Absolutely. And Marshal Wang's willingness to listen eventually.
Yeah.
So what happens next to actually recruit Yu Fei?
Yeah, how do they proceed?
Marshal Wang understands immediately how important this is. He says to Zhu Ren, tomorrow morning, you and I will go see the emperor together. We will recommend Yu Fei.
Straight to the top.
Straight to the top. And when they do have their audience with Emperor Gaozong the next day, there's another surprise.
What's that?
The emperor says he already knows about Yu Fei. He knew about his talents, and he knew that Yu Fei had been deliberately held back by a treacherous high official named Zhang Bengchang during his father's reign.
So the corruption went way up.
It seems so. Zhang Bengchang was known for political maneuvering and self-interest. So the emperor was aware of Yu Fei, but hadn't been able to act. Or perhaps the file just got buried under the previous administration.
Okay, so the emperor is receptive.
Very. He recognizes the urgency, but he explains that he can't travel himself, being newly enthroned and dealing with the crisis. So he gives Zhu Ren a crucial mission. He tasks Zhu Ren, the clean official from Tanyin, the man who started all this, to personally take an imperial decree, along with imperial gifts, back to Tanyin County, and formally, personally, invite Yu Fei to come serve the nation.
Wow. From being insulted at the gate to becoming an imperial envoy for perhaps the most important recruitment of the era.
Quite the turnaround. And Zhu Ren gets his own reward, too. The emperor gives him 3 cups of imperial wine, a significant honor, and a whole new set of official clothes.
Yeah.
Hat, robe, court boots, the works.
He probably needed that new robe.
He probably did. So Zhu Ren, properly equipped and honored, departs for Tanyin to carry out this vital task, to bring Yu Fei into the fold.
Okay, imagine this. Your world is just completely falling apart. There's a deadly plague, there's famine, society itself is sort of crumbling. What do you do? Especially when, just surviving clashes head on with your own sense of what's right. How does someone like Yu Fei navigate a world where the rules seem to be collapsing?
We're thrown into this pretty grim landscape immediately. Well, what's really striking is just the sheer amount of bad stuff happening all at once. It's not just one thing. The text mentions a widespread plague, Wen Yishengxing, that kills this local notable, Wang Yuanwei and his wife. And then another couple who helped out, Pang Yuanwang and his wife, they die too.
Wow, so it's spreading fast.
Exactly. And on top of the plague, there's a drought, Hanwang. And because of the drought...
Let me guess. Food prices.
Skyrocketing. Miliang Dengui. Grain prices soar. So it's this backdrop of total systemic crisis, not just personal misfortune.
Right. Not just bad luck for one family. It's society itself breaking down. The usual safety nets are just gone.
Precisely. In that kind of environment, it forces people into well, desperate situations and desperate decisions.
Which brings us to New Gao, right? How does he react to all this desperation?
Yeah, New Gao is interesting. He's described as someone used to eating well, Qiguan de Ren.
Ah, so he's not accustomed to hardship.
Not at all. And the text says he simply cannot endure poverty, Zeno de Kingdom. He can't handle it.
And that leads him to...
It pushes him to do unjust and unlawful things. Bugong bufa de shi. Basically crime. It really shows how that kind of fundamental hardship can, warp someone's moral compass.
It breaks them down.
It seems so. And the consequence is severe.
And his mother...
tries to stop him, but the stress and anger. She's angered to death. Yikuchi sile.
Good grief. So his path has immediate tragic consequences for his family, too.
Absolutely. It shows the ripple effect, the emotional toll. It's not just about him compromising his morals.
Okay, so that's one reaction, a pretty bleak one.
Yeah.
But Yu Fei is handling it differently, right? He and his family are also suffering.
Oh, absolutely. The text says he, his mother, and his wife are bitterly enduring poverty. Kusho, Kingpin, Shinshiki-liang. It's miserable for them, too.
But he finds something unexpected.
He does. He stumbles upon this destiny scroll of Bilshu, and it predicts great prosperity, be dang dai fei for him at age 23.
And he's 23 right now.
He is. Perfect timing, you'd think.
But he doesn't buy it.
No, he dismisses it completely, calls it nonsense. Yi pai huyan. Just a scam to get money, basically. Pianren kaoyuri.
Huh. That's fascinating. In the middle of all this suffering, he gets this potential lifeline, this prophecy, and just rejects it.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? About belief versus, I guess, hard-nosed practicality when you're under extreme stress.
Mm-hmm.
Do you cling to hope or see it as a distraction?
And it's right then, isn't it, that his wife steps in, Li Xianyangzi, Lady Li. She offers some advice.
She does, and it's really quite profound. She tells him essentially, a wise man knows destiny, a gentleman remains steadfast in poverty. Okay, so accept your fate, but maintain your integrity.
Kind of, and then she adds, your time has not come, just wait. Even a trapped dragon has a time to ascend to heaven.
Wow, so patience and faith. Hold on, your time will come, even if you feel trapped now. Exactly. It's this powerful message of perseverance, right? Believing in a larger cycle, even when things look utterly hopeless. Integrity and hardship is its own kind of strength.
And his mother, Yao Anren, she gets involved too. I heard something about tough love.
Oh, yeah. She gives him a piece of her mind first, scolds him for complaining, reminds him of his duty. But then there's this really telling moment with his son.
His son, Yu Yun. He's young, right?
7 years old.
Yeah.
He comes in, sees his dad kneeling there because his mother made him kneel. And what does he do?
He kneels too.
Immediately kneels right behind his father.
Yeah.
And refuses to get up until Yu Fei does. It's this classic example of Xiao Shen filial piety. Xiao Shen Hai Shong Shen Zi.
Like father, like son, but in a good way, showing the values are still strong.
Exactly. It shows that even in this crisis, those core family values are the bedrock. And then the mother, seeing this, softens a bit. It shows her wisdom, understanding the situation's complexity.
Okay, so he's got this family support, this moral grounding, but he's still struggling. He goes out to practice martial arts, just to clear his head.
Seems likely. But then he runs into his old brothers. New Gao is there, and Wang Gi.
And they're not just hanging out.
No. He sees them in full armor, Quan Chen Jiazu. They're talking and laughing. It's immediately obvious they're up to no good.
Planning to take ill-gotten gains.
That's the phrase, kuna wu yishikai. Yu Fei asks where they're going, and New Gao is just blunt about it.
What does he say?
Hunger and cold are hard to bear. Jihan or Zinanren. It's the justification, right? The basic survival needs overriding everything else.
And that stark choice again, and Yu Fei tries to talk them out of it. Appeal to their better nature.
He does. He quotes an old scholar, Shao Kanji. The line is something like, one can be righteous and insufficient, but not wicked and have a surplus. So better to be poor but good than rich but evil. That's his core belief. That's his line in the sand, morally speaking. But Wang Gi just throws it back at him. He basically says, look, being righteous and insufficient sounds noble, but it's a lot worse when you literally have no food to eat, no clothes to wear.
Oof, that's the pragmatic counter-argument. Principles don't fill your belly.
Exactly. And this is the crux of it, right? Where high-minded principles hit the wall of desperate, immediate needs. It really forces you to ask, how much pressure can those principles withstand?
So faced with this impasse, What does Yu Fei do? You mentioned a line in the sand.
He makes it literal. First, he tells him, look, if you get rich this way, don't come see me. If you get caught, don't you dare mention my name.
Wow, cutting ties.
Completely. And he takes his spear to Yang and physically draws a line on the ground between them.
No way.
Yes. And he declares, from now on, I sever ties with you all by drawing this line. Each of us go our own way.
That's incredibly dramatic, a physical public break.
It's powerful, isn't it? It's not just talk, it's a decisive act. Choosing integrity over complicity, no matter what it costs him personally. That phrase, drawing a line in the sand, this is it, literally.
But that kind of break, it must have taken a huge emotional toll on him. How does he react afterwards?
Oh, he's devastated. He goes home, and the text says tears flowed from his eyes. He just breaks down. Fang Sheng Daku cries loudly.
So it wasn't an easy choice, even if he believed it was the right one.
Not at all. It highlights the real human cost of sticking to your principles like that. He's losing his friends, his comrades. There's grief there.
And his mother, how does she react when he tells her why he's upset?
Well, at first she thinks he's crying because she scolded him earlier. But when he explains about drawing the line and breaking it with his friends, she's very calm, really.
Not angry or disappointed?
No, she just says, everyone has their own aspirations, let them be. Renje you see, kidziu tamen bale.
It's very pragmatic, almost accepting.
It is. It's this deep, perhaps slightly sad wisdom about how people choose different paths, and you can't always control that. It shows how families, or at least this family, navigates these deep divides.
Okay, so he's made this incredibly difficult choice. He's dealt with the emotional fallout. His mother understands. And then the story throws another curveball.
Right at the end of the excerpt, yeah. Just as he's processing everything, this stranger shows up at the door. A young man, over 20, round face, no beard, wearing simple clothes, carrying a yellow bundle.
And he's out of breath, like he rushed there.
Exactly. Tuan Zwo Kilai. Yufei has no idea who he is or what he wants.
Huh.
Total cliffhanger.